Ou deixa sua bunda ardendo, ou dá tapa, 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 cara.
Welcome to Empowerment Unleashed Now, exploring your inner authority. I'm Michele Jones.
And I'm Scott Collins.
And this is the place to connect with your highest, most essential self, your most empowered self, where you can explore your inner authority and learn from others and learn more about yourself.
We talk with fascinating people from all walks of life about transformation, healing, hypnosis, astrology, physical experience of being human, and heart-centered living.
We're so thankful that you're here with us. Let's dive right on in. Hi, and welcome to Empowerment Unleashed Now. I'm Michele Jones, your spiritual study buddy, your hostess, your empowerment, BFF, because we're all going through it, and a co-creator of this podcast, Empowerment Unleashed Now, exploring your inner authority. Ooh, a little tongue-tied here in Aries season, bro. And I am here with the very multifaceted, multi-talented, multi-dimensional, dun, 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 dun.
Scott Collins, your ascension maestro when you plan challenging pieces of composition.
My God, I can't even believe that you went there with the maestro thing, dude. I didn't see that one coming, and that just tickled my funny bone. And you so know why. And what we're referencing for our listeners is a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
And if you guys remember, the maestro, and he wanted people to call him that, which has just been a rather interesting conversation about titles that Scott and I have had repeatedly. So yes, today we are here. We are in the second week of Aries season, and we're going to talk about unleashing your higher self and the new ego. Higher self, up and away.
Yeah. Prior to this era, that might seem like an oxymoron. No longer.
No longer. And I feel like there's a couple of reasons for that. I think that the end of the Pisces age has occurred.
Yeah.
I feel like yesterday was it for us. So we're taping
step zero. Yeah, we're taping on step zero, Aries, everybody.
Yeah. So we're referencing 29 degrees Pisces. And that was, as Scott said to me, I hope you slept through it, sister. And I was like, okay. I was sound asleep. And so that was a blessing. But I think that today we're diving into the fiery portal of Aries season, but yet at the same time, we're remaining in that Pluto and Aquarius transit, which is taking us into the dawn of the dawn of the dawn of the age of Aquarius. Many folks that calculate this kind of thing believe that we still have 75 to 90 years before we're fully in the age of Aquarius. So, Scott, what would the in-between be analogous to in the world of physics?
I mean, I think it's like the incubation period right now is what we're experiencing. It's really already begun. Like the seed is there and it's really maybe very much beginning to sprout or germinate, but it has not definitely bloomed yet. But it is in the fertile soil. And
Definitely think so. Is there something in physics, galactically, that's where things incubate, kind of creation energy, where that resides?
I mean, physics, energy just always is and always exists. It doesn't really get created.
Got it.
Transfer from one form to another. But, this could be that transference of energy. I guess that it would be.
Yes.
I think the physics analogy is this is the the conversion of energy from one form to another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that the galactic center right now is like supposed to be super active.
Mm.
And I think that there's a lot of energy that's emanating outwards.
Absolutely. And it's well, the galactic center is leave at the same degree as the nodes are right now. So I don't know if they're what their exact transit is, if they're trine or sextile. I don't know what it is right now, but they're all at 27.
27.
So
Lynette 9 taken.
yeah, so and with that solar eclipse and the new moon both occurring at net 9 degree situations, it's pretty obvious the piece of music they're giving us.
And that would be what? Tell us, pretty obvious,
mean,
because a
well, I
lot of
guess-
people are just learning.
Yeah, well, I guess to me that would be act on what your heart feels, and then also act on what your intuition senses. But make sure you feel it in your heart and make sure you sense it intuitively. And if both of those things are there, then clear, all clear to go ahead and act with, I guess, Aries passion, even. you know,
Yeah, for
that
sure.
yeah, that maybe that's the reinvention of the ego. There is when we're acting from a place where that our heart feels and our intuition senses. Then it's like a green light. We can act from a place of our ego, knowing that that is not just for our own highest good, but for the highest good of all. And then therefore becomes, like Christopher Witecki says, the we go. So when we're acting on our healthy ego, it's actually for the we also.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because you're taking you and another into account. I also think that a big part of the new ego, actually, the main part of it is the embodiment of our higher self.
Mhm.
So what is that for folks? Like, just, the definition that we have working for us is that it's your soul self. It's the compilation of all of the incarnations of you, of all of your experiences. And ultimately, it is the eternal part of you that will return to source, that comes from source, that actually is source energy. That's part of why creation and free will is such a blessing here, on Earth School, right? Like we definitely are experiencing a higher self coming into this body. So stuffing that big multi-dimensional self
Yeah.
into this little 3D
Mhm.
body.
Yeah. And I wonder if there's been any other point in humanoid consciousness or existence where this higher percentage are moving about with that awareness of what you're talking about, where the higher self being entering the physical body, like the 5D beyond spirit coming into 3 to 5D physical experience on Earth. I mean, there have obviously been a percentage of spirits that have come down here and achieved that ascended master status and go off to embark that wisdom through us through higher plane communication. But to be here now, where before our eyes, a massive amount of our planet are coming into this awareness, I don't know, maybe this is new territory. I know.
It is territory.
Yeah, I feel like it is intuitively. I'm like, okay, how was it in Atlantis? Or, I feel like the other eras where it was happening, though, it was still kind of a time. It was still was like a privileged elite kind of thing. I don't think it was as mass.
My understanding was that in Atlantis, it was mass, like in terms of like folks under, well, understanding to a certain degree what they were doing, or not doing, because
they just
they
kind
were
of dropped in like that. They
yeah,
like showed up there, wasn't really achieved.
yeah,
I don't even know if that's the right word. Was it remembered?
Yeah,
And yet
that's
they
a good way.
I'm not with it, and now we're having to remember it. So it's a whole different experience now.
Yeah. And that's rejoining the higher self, right? Remembering is literally a rejoining of you with the multidimensional aspects of you. And so, timelines, like one of the interesting things about Aries, it's known as the I am, okay? Like the grand I am. And the fundamental essence of who we are is not just in this life, but it's across existence, right? And that's, I think, the multi-dimensional aspect. So like, how do you tap the version of you that knows that you are here present in this now, but you have also had other existences, lifetimes, possibly experiences, maybe just good old deja vu, right? Where you have been somewhere else, or you go somewhere and you're like, wow, I've totally been here before. And yet, in this embodiment, you've never actually physically been there. So I just am inviting for listeners to consider this grand I am in the fullness of the higher self with all of the experiences and existences that you've had.
Yes. Yeah. We are part of the we, like our infinite. And if I would even go further, that when you eliminate that illusion of time, we are actually having those multiple we's simultaneously right now. And that's why when we heal one we heal all of them, because they really are simultaneously happening. It's not just like, it's not a linear thing necessarily, or definitely not all the time. So, yeah, if it's hard to manage connecting with we being other beings, but you are, it's all the versions of you as well. Yeah.
Mhm. And I think that that's one of the most purifying aspects of the possibilities within this existence is that you could actually realize by recognizing your empowerment, like a very Aries like principle, because for so much we've heard about killing the ego, transcending the ego, getting it out of the way, if you will. But if the ego is actually aligned and integrated and kind of purified based on all of the experiences it's had, maybe that's like your key to personal power.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, that resonates with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like this Aries gets such a bad rap. I can't help it. I'm laughing because there's just so many Aries things in my head right now.
Yeah. Me too.
And you and I can't even believe this. I'm making myself crack up. Like, I'm so sorry. We share an Aries friend in common. And it's like, you can sometimes feel like somebody is like super self absorbed, but actually, what we're talking about is self realization. And there can be a fine line between how people perceive that at times, right? Like, and I feel like in this new higher self embodied ego, there's real self realizations that I think shift us to like inspired action with wisdom from our soul as opposed to reacting impulsively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's something that like Aries as a warrior is like known to do, right?
Respond
Um
instead of react. Yeah.
yeah.
Response includes the self realization element, the wisdom of self realization
Mhm. The wisdom of self-realization. Yeah, for sure.
instead of reaction. And it does include the into the me.
Mhm. Mhm. I also think that like Aries get accused of being arrogant, especially male Aries, right? And like, what if there's like that higher self is leading us with confidence because we know that we're actually tapping into all of the wisdom, the knowledge, the soul experiences, right? Of the multi fractal dimensional aspects of ourselves. If all of that comes together, I think I would be able to proceed far more confidently about what it is, my mission, my purpose, who I am, what my soul contract is in this now.
Yeah. And that's the purpose, right? Of our school right there.
I guess that really is. And, this is the beginning. Like, we've never experienced an Aries season with a Pluto in Aquarius transit,
Yeah.
right? Like, listen, we haven't done that. And so
And
I feel,
usually
yeah,
with, I mean, with these other outer large planets about to also move into Aries. All that Pisces pileup we've been talking about and just alluded to with Neptune at 29, which we were talking about that conjunction yesterday, but then also Saturn in the high degrees are about to join hands in Aries.
yeah. My
After that.
Saturn is in Aries
Mhm.
and my midheaven is in Aries.
Wow, so you're coming on another Saturn return. Yeah.
Wait, is my midheaven in Aquarius? No, I said that wrong. You know what I'm confusing?
Yeah.
Confusing the nodes.
Oh yeah.
So my south node is Libra, my north node is Aries, my
Yeah.
Saturn is in Aries,
Mhm.
and yeah, my midheaven is in Aquarius. So I'm supposed to be like a metaphysician by the time I die.
By the time you were born.
Right, by the time I'm born again. And yeah, again and again. But I think that what we were also talking about, Scott, that really resonated with me when you were talking about Christopher Witecki's term from the WeGo. Um, I think that the I am energy in us all has this opportunity to recognize the part that we are to the whole, how our individual I am in all the multidimensional and fractal aspects of that can actually fit with the greater energy of the whole
Mhm.
and actually considering that when we make decisions as well.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the we also.
I think that's the essence of it going forward is really embracing that relationship of the me and the we and understanding how it is like our higher self is the linchpin between those things really that when we make decisions from that understanding we all benefit all of our fractal ass selves that galactic fractals we are.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
What tools can we use to access that in our decision making?
I think the meditation is an integral like tool to take us in our embodiment, if that's where our higher self is fitting into.
Yeah.
I think that meditation being in that embodiment and allowing our crown, chakra, and then beyond, the exterior, you know, chakra systems that are outside of us in the auric field to come into alignment with the third eye, and then everything that moves on down. To me, and this is my primary mode of understanding me, I would say, even though it's pretty integrated between kinesthetic, auditory, and like verbal, is kinesthetically, I think because the embodiment is part of this ascension process for us, I think that you have to really connect everything back in through the body.
Yeah.
Does that even make sense, Brett?
Totally. And
Because I'm just
and
like,
like
out there.
because of the Aries season, I'm wondering too, is like a tool this week, this month for listeners would be, and it's a pretty widely received way doing affirmations already is with leading with I am statements, right?
Yes.
So like if there's any time of the year to really lean into that tried and true thing, it would be right now. And I would just suggest when doing those affirmations, when you're saying them or writing down, you're searching for the ones that really hit that point that you're talking about, the point of wisdom, the linchpin point, that's where the 27, all these 27s could come into play. If you feel it in your heart, you sense it in your tuition that you've really hit an affirmation that is on that linchpin. And you know when you feel it, because you'll say things, I am, whatever, I am open, I am this, but then you say something like, I'm willing to act on my heart. How does that feel? Does it hit a chord that did it just tune that guitar string right up, or did it, whatever it did? And it's just a way also to really get, not only are we doing things with our unconscious mind by making I am statements, if we do it with this 27 awareness, we're actually learning to sense our instrument more, sense when we've hit that thing that then we can access when we need to make a decision, or we need to take action, or we need to not do anything, whatever it is, just having a higher knowing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I feel like I am affirmations are always really profound. It's Aries season. So get it on.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely feel that, I also think one of the hallmarks of like Aries season, and this is just like kind of a cultural thing in North America because of the season that we're in. So you're moving to spring, right? And I always feel like everybody's like, oh, I got to get the big spring cleaning done. Like there's some type of process of like a cleansing, a purification. But I think one of the traps, and I know I can fall into this, is that like somehow you're starting from scratch all over again. Because Aries is like the beginning of the zodiac. So it's like, the big old wheel in the sky keeps turning, and like you feel like, okay, wait, I'm back where I started. And sometimes you can feel like, wow. Because like I think Aries love like a good fresh start. Like they're great starters, right? That's what they use their fire for. They're fire starters. I think that what we have to realize is that we're not beginning from nothing, but that we're beginning with everything that our soul has ever known. That's
Because the karma's clear. So like the lens, the windshield is squeaky clean. Our eyeglasses have just had the lenses cleaned off. So
love that.
yeah.
I love that.
Brand new set of contact lenses.
New set of shades. I mean, like legitimately, like
Yeah.
I just think of like if you have the urge to finally start something that's new, it's not random at all. It's like your soul has been preparing for this.
Yeah.
And I think that taking action in that way is a new knowing.
Yes. If you sense that new thing, now is the time to really trust that feeling that you're sensing.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's like, this is what you've been preparing for.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. This is what you've
And
done all the boot camp for.
Yeah. And I think that like taking like passion, like another actionable thing that one could do with this Aries season is take something that you're passionate about. Like I'm going to tell a funny story. So I don't know. Maybe we were in Canada at the time, but there was some period of time where there was winter weather in our life. And my son Jake and I started watching this show called Forged. And it was all about like these really cool sword makers. And I typically would not watch something that like had weaponry involved. Like it just doesn't excite me. You know what I mean? And I was completely like fascinated about it. And I thought to myself, I wonder if this is like a breadcrumb, like a little marker that my soul has left me. And I'm having this experience to realize that there's a past life where maybe I mastered something similar.
Mhm.
And I remember like
Yeah.
two different lifetimes that involve swords, but the one that was the most important one to me was my time in the Scottish Highlands. And for our listeners, the big burly man who only wears a kilt, who won't say his name, is from that lifetime. But my sword was just this really important, like, I loved my horse more than the sword, but I think a joke I had with my horse was sometimes it was a close first and second. Um, and so, like, just even looking through that with different lenses adds a dimension to myself that what did I possibly learn about myself in that lifetime that I can bring into this one? You
Mhm.
know? Because I'm starting to think that we leave these little breadcrumbs and there are places that we might want to travel that we left breadcrumbs for our little soul, right? They might be like learnings that all of a sudden stimulate a new part of our brain. And we're like, wow, why would I be interested in swords? And then meditating on that, like, where does that come from? So I'm just trying to like bring together how your higher self can kind of come into this embodiment and start to lead us to like a more empowered and fulfilled life where we can go from our inner authority with knowledge of all that kind of, where this actually came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's resonating so much for me when you're talking about the lessons or experiences of the parallel lives. That's something
Huh?
that I've been going through a lot in the last 12 months since Pisces season a year ago. And then really culminated a lot in this one, where in a different shape or shade or whatever, the exact same experiences are surfacing, but just, you know, uh, dressed in today's fashion.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And
Eh,
it definitely allows when that awareness hits, it does help you be able to experience it from a better place of neutrality, a place of stillness and belief, right? Which like right now with Pluto at 3, using the number system, Pluto represents 0, I protect, and then 3 is our beliefs, right? So moving through these karmic clearing into the new Aries uh, ego from a place of protecting our individual belief systems, like really knowing that that is a sovereign thing to each of us. And I do think sovereignty is a big thing of Aries also. I believe like
for sure.
it's maybe the season and sign that probably Aries and Leo that are most about sovereignty.
And I think that self awakening is like the most sovereign act
Mhm.
that we could possibly ever fulfill for ourselves,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's really to me, in terms of like breadcrumbs, I also wanted to suggest that relationships are breadcrumbs that we leave along our soul's experiential path, if you will, to continue to work out what it is that we are supposed to remember and probably master according to our sign up sheet with God Universe, what our soul contract is. And so, to me, taking the sovereignty, back of knowing that because it comes from my heart, it comes from a fire and a passion inside of me in my heart, a place that I call love. Therefore, I know that because I believe it, it's possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And
But
that,
no other living or non-living or galactic or earthly things say otherwise.
yeah. And so it's like, wow, living your most empowered season of like, I am.
Yeah.
I think that that's what this opportunity is like, to make it practice of integrating all of our soul's wisdom. And I would say, taking that into a place where you feel courage, where you feel strength of heart, right? To me, that's really a piece of heart centered living within Ascension. And that's part of our mission here at Empowerment Unleashed now, is to really bring folks into that heart centered space within their multidimensional grand I am. As far as you want to go, we're like your, study buddies that'll totally take that ride with you.
Yeah. Hop on, all aboard the train.
Like, exactly. Because like, I just think that like, this is a new Aries. Like, this is like the start of a whole new incubation period as we're all bringing forward the age of Aquarius, which is really the age of the we.
Yeah. And I think what we can do for one another, like as we, with our individual self awareness, get on this train together, is just really help one another uh, feel unjudged for our ride. And then also towards ourselves, like keep reflecting that to one another, and then hopefully back on ourselves. If we sense somebody going through self-judgment or self-criticism as on this ascension path, to realize in the galactic realm they're not doing any of that. It is not that like it's not even in the algorithm up there. So to allow it and to nestle in more to the self-compassion, and then
Yeah.
be compassion for one another, where it's just the reason we're here is that
Mm-hmm.
you're compassionate, not the judgment or criticism.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Because that's the heart centered. That's the highest vibration that we hold.
And maybe
Love.
the thing you were talking about too, that's a really big thing, because those are our karmic contracts, most likely, is like the within those in the relationships. And also use your discernment, the 27, feel and sense like those relationships that are providing that, and that you can provide that too.
Totally. Is Aries season kind of the cosmic New Year, Scott?
It is. Today's the cosmic New Year's Day, I guess. We're taping. We're taping on the New Year's.
We're taping on Cosmic New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So does that make 29 degrees Pisces Cosmic New Year's Eve?
Yeah, it does.
Oh.
Yeah.
That kind of makes like a lot of sense. And
They used a bottle of champagne last night.
I'm going to tell you this. I think that it's a time to ignite our personal fire, but not with like reckless abandonment, but with divine purpose,
Mm.
like the divinity within us, as well as the divinity of the connectedness of the we, the me in the we, as well as the me in the we in the me, right? Like all of that. And I don't think it's about being like the loudest in the room. I think it's about knowing like deeply and unequivocally and with kind of almost that's where the reckless abandonment is you know who you are with unwavering trust. Like that is the biggest gift that you can give to yourself in this grand I am season. That's my personal belief, at least, is that that's where you can unleash your higher self.
That's mic drop level, Michele. Yeah.
All right. That's it. We're done. I mean, like, thanks for listening. Like, wait, I just think that, I think that if that's where we are, let's do it that way.
Yeah.
I did want to apologize, though, for one thing.
Okay.
So we were supposed to have Marianne Williamson on, and we had said that to our listeners. And there were personal and professional, I would say, grand I am moments that precluded Mary Ann from being with us today. And we're going to see her this summer. And so we know that there's always perfect alignment. And we know that in this time of kind of inspired action that's rooted in soul wisdom, sometimes we have to plan to make another plan.
And
That was our plan.
Yeah. And Marianne, we wish you continued prosperity and look forward to that whenever it happens.
Totally. And Godspeed, right? That's like, yeah. So my brother, we dropped the mic. We said our words today together. Do you want to lead us on out with an affirmation? Because what I want to do is for our listeners, we've been talking about dropping like an affirmation loop along with songs of the season, an opportunity, not just at Christmas, to have a playlist that reflects the season. I'm so excited by it. So a lot of it is going to be the beautiful affirmations that Scott gives. So thank you, brother. We're ready.
And chapter 1 of that, Pisces Aries, will be coming out soon. So stay tuned for that. Okay, New Year's affirmations. I'm open for business. I'm open for pleasure. I'm willing to act on my heart's feelings. I'm aware of my intuition and I sense my truth. I'm embracing of my passion. I'm knowing that what my heart feels and intuition senses is what I may act on. I am self-aware. I'm sovereign, and I know who I am with unwavering trust.
Woohoo! Mic drop.
There you go. Good. So,
Thank you so much, bro. Thank you to all of our listeners. We so appreciate you. We value you. Please feel free to subscribe, to like, to share. Just know how thankful and grateful we are to actually hold this time and space with you. Peace be with y'all, and we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Empowerment Unleashed Now. Please subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and let us know how this helped you.
join us right here every week for another episode.